Open your kitchen right now. There's probably rice, maybe some potatoes in a basket, a tomato going soft on the counter, and somewhere in the fridge door, 2 or 3 green chilies. You'd call that Indian food. But hand that plate to someone from ancient India, and they wouldn't just find it strange. Half of it they wouldn't recognize as food at all. Some of it they wouldn't even have a word for. So what did ancient Indians actually eat? The answer is stranger than you'd expect, because the single most Indian ingredient on your plate is barely 500 years old. Start with the chili. Ask anyone in the world to name one thing about Indian food, and they'll say it's spicy. Chilies feel like the soul of the whole cuisine. They are not Indian. Chilies come from the Americas. They crossed the ocean with Portuguese ships, arriving on the west coast around the early 1500s, not long after Vasco da Gama first dropped anchor off Kerala in 1498. Within a century, they had spread across the subcontinent so completely that people forgot they were ever guests. So what made food hot before the chili? 2 things: black pepper and a forgotten spice called long pepper, pipali, which ancient Indian cooks and doctors prized for its slow, deep burn. And black pepper was no small thing. It grew on the Malabar coast, and the ancient world was obsessed with it. Romans paid for it in gold. It was so valuable that when the city of Rome was besieged in the 5th century, one of the ransoms demanded was pepper by the ton. For a long time, this single Indian berry was one of the most valuable substances on earth. The chili wasn't the only newcomer. The potato, the tomato, the peanut, so much of what feels like the heart of an Indian kitchen, all of it arrived from the Americas in the same few centuries. The humble aloo is a foreigner. The rich tomato gravy is a recent invention. So strip all of that away. Take out the chili, the potato, the tomato. Go back 4,000 years. What is actually left? Quite a lot. And it starts with a discovery that rewrote the story. In the ruins of the Indus Valley, at a site called Farmana, archaeologists scraped the residue off ancient cooking pots and even off human teeth, and they found it. Turmeric, ginger, aubergine, cooked together more than 4,000 years ago. It is the oldest known evidence of a curry anywhere on Earth. Before the pyramids were finished, someone in India was grinding a masala, and the aubergine, the brinjal, is one of the few things on the modern plate that is genuinely, deeply Indian. It was growing here when the rest was still an ocean away. But the everyday meal wasn't built on rice or wheat the way you'd think. For most ancient Indians, the staple was millets and barley and pulses. Lentils, chickpeas, mung beans, sesame, crushed for oil. They grew several crops a year, in one of the most sophisticated farming systems of the ancient world. It was, by our standards today, a startlingly healthy diet. The millets we're now calling a superfood, they were simply lunch. Then there was dairy. Milk, curd, and ghee sit at the center of Indian food so far back that they feel timeless, and here, finally, that feeling is right. And one more thing India gave not just itself, but the entire world: sweetness. It was in India that people first worked out how to boil and crystallize the juice of sugarcane into something solid you could store and carry. The word sugar itself travels straight back to the Sanskrit sharkara. When you say sugar, in almost any language on earth, you are speaking a word that began here. So put it all together. The Harappans cooked the first known curry. India refined the first sugar and grew the pepper that the Roman Empire drained its treasury to buy. And then, again and again, the plate kept changing. Chili from Mexico, potato from the Andes, tea, much later, from the hills. Each one arrived a stranger, and each one was folded in so completely that it came to feel eternal. So the next time someone calls a dish authentically Indian, they're right, but not for the reason they think. It's authentic the way a language is authentic. Not because it never changed, but because India kept taking whatever arrived and making it its own. The chili was a foreigner 500 years ago. Now you cannot picture the food without it. That isn't a break in the tradition. That is the tradition.